Hi, Armoured Pants here, and I have another video for you in the French line. This is the Tier 3, the D2 heavy tank, and we have a complete guide for you. As always, we will firstly look at the tech spec, and we will do so in blitzhanger.com, which is a great asset for all blitzers. And if you're not using it, I would suggest you do. Not only great for the tanks you're playing, but also for the tanks you will play against. Learn their weaknesses and strengths. Now, this is a heavy tank. And it is a typical heavy tank in that it has heavy tank attributes. Therefore, if you have not already watched the heavy tank guide I have on channel, please do so, because it will help you with this tank, but also the next tanks that follow on in the series. Now, let's have a look at the D2 in some detail. It has 460 hit points. It has a view range of 246.1 meters. Which is pretty good in its tier. It has a shell velocity of 895 normally, but we will supercharge that and get that up to 1150 meters per second, which is really good for a tier 3 tank. It has a 47mm gun, and this is exactly the same gun that is on the the AMX-38, which precedes the D2. So therefore the gun handling is very similar and will stand you in good stead the skills you learned playing the AMX-38. The tank is relatively slow. It only does 23 kilometers in the front line, but its major strength is what we're looking at here. It is this armor. If we look at the armor numbers, the relative armor numbers in the top left, you will see that they are troll. A note there to take 2 repair kits, because as you saw, the tracks are exposed. But it has a lovely armor profile. It will bounce shots all day long, and if you look at those relative armor numbers in the top left hand corner, they are troll. You will bounce shots in this tank, no mistake. You will bounce them on the front, on the sides, on the turret. It is just beautifully armored tank, and it will allow you to get into trouble, to make mistakes, and it will bounce shots, and you're going to see that in the gameplay that we look at. You will see that this tank can be a brawl monster. Now, you need to angle the tank to max effect to get bounces. So if we look here, this is sort of an almost optimal firing position where you have no real vulnerable parts of the tank for the enemy to hit. You can side scrape in this tank if you don't know how to do that. It's explained very simply in the heavy tank guide, so please have a look. And you can see here, just looking at it, if that tank is facing you like that, it is almost impossible to penetrate. So really a beautiful armor profile that allows you to adopt a number of different tactics. You can push on in this tank. You can brawl in it. You can do long range sniping, because if you use the supercharge with that muzzle velocity, use refined gun to reduce the penetration loss over distance, you will see that this tank will deliver time and time again. Now let's look at some gameplay. We are on mines. Now normally in a heavy tank you would go left here up this channel, the heavy tank channel, but as I saw, nobody is really going for the hill. And as I've said before in many videos, and Mines is a map, by the way, that you will play a lot in the lower tiers. You need to go and take this hill. This hill is strategically vital for this map in terms of spotting, dominating play, etc. Now, I'm moving up. I am slow, as I said, only 23 kilometers an hour, even slower going uphill. So now we have 3 of the enemy up on top of the hill. We're in a bad position. By the way, I am also bottom tier in this. I'm in with tier 4s, and as we'll see, those guys have a lot of big guns, and even though I have great armor, they can do some damage to me. So you see I'm taking hits here, so I need to back off from here. Now, this is poor team play from us, because I am the slowest tank on the team, and yet I'm the only one going for this strategically important hill, and now we're at disadvantage because we are being pushed onto, we're spotted up. But that said, this tank can get you out of trouble, and there's a monster brawl coming up here. Look at this. I'm in a brawl now with 2 tier 4 tanks that have big guns, right? There's this M4 and then there's an M8A1 coming down. These are 2 big guns, and they are 2 tanks which are a tier above me. But I don't panic. I just use my brawling skills, and I'm now not sure if I'm going to win or not, but what I decide to do is I'm just going to make it as difficult as possible for them to kill me, and I'm going to take as much damage off them as possible before they kill me, if in fact they do kill me. So you'll see what I'm doing here. I'm keeping the front of the tank facing onto them, creating a side scraping angle there, mobile side scraping. This guy has got himself into a pickle here. He is facing me with his butt, and I'm facing him in my front. I will clear him. I had a little bit of help from the Panzer 4D as well. And then we clear this guy, and there we go. We just see this brawl in action. Let's slow it down so we can have a look at it. If you are not familiar with playing heavy tanks, not familiar with brawling, if you're new to the game, if you look here at my tank's angle, I am front on to him all the time, and I'm creating angles with my tank. If you think back to the angles that we saw when we looked at the tech spec, when we were looking at the armor profile, I'm creating those angles now in game, which are making it extremely difficult for him to get a shot on me. You can see as his gun comes onto me here, now 2 bounces, 1 from each of those tanks. They can't really do any ram damage because my armor is so thick. Again, another bounce from him. And bear in mind, he's in a higher tier tank, right? I put a round into him here. I'm backing off. Look, again, fronting up to him. No easy shot from me. He can't get a shot. I'm just presenting him with a traffic light of a vision here. Everything is red. He cannot get a shot on me. Tracking back, creating angles all the time. Look at the relative shape of my tank to his gun. I stop now as he moves forward. Now I push forward. Again, another bounce and creating that mobile side scraping angle from, again, the same thing here. Another bounce, put a round into his backside. He is just all over the place. He's presenting me with his weakest point, and I'm presenting him at my strongest point. And even though he's a tier up, he is not getting any joy. And those 2 guys in that brawl did almost no damage to me whatsoever in the space of that brawl. And me and my ally here managed to clear them, which is really quite impressive and just shows what you can do with this tank in those situations. As we say, stopping is dropping, moving is grooving, kept moving, kept angling, and that's what kept me safe in that brawl. Bounced all those shots, and eventually we came out on top. Albeit I need a little bit of help, but then that's what your allies are for, and kind of making up for playing so badly at the start. Now we see the nice gun handling here, small target, but this gun really well able to put in the shots, and again doing nice damage onto this M7. He's popping in here again. I lose him, and somebody else takes him out, so that's good. We've cleared him. Again, nice shot over there, get the kill on him. So as we can see, we are now not even 3 minutes into the game. We've cleared already 5 of the enemy tanks, and I lost just over 130 hit points. And yet all of that engagement I was in, I lost not even 140 hit points, 138 hit points, which is really quite an impressive display of side scraping and brawling from this tank. Now, this is my big brother, the B1, which is next in line. Now, in this situation, if you look at what he does compared to what I did when I was facing my enemies, he is just sitting there. He's just sitting still, allowing me to put rounds into him all day long. He's showing me the weakest point of his tank, which is the side, and just allows me to pump him full of rounds. And so again, you see the difference in that you make by moving and moving appropriately. Now there's another brawl coming up here, and you'll see again the same thing. I am creating angles. I'm not giving this guy any easy shots. I am just giving him really just the most acute, most difficult angles. I'm giving him 80, 90 plus millimeters of effective armor to fire at. He cannot pen. Another bounce, and it's so frustrating for this guy. Another bounce. He just doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't understand why he can't pen, and it's because of those angles I'm creating. And there we clear him too. So 3 kills from me. A huge amount of bounces. Probably more damage bounced than actually damage inflicted. Almost 900 of damage, and probably even more than that of damage deflected, and that delivers the mastery badge for me. So this is just really two, those brawls there, etc. Just gave two examples of how good this tank could be. So there we see 12 bounces in all. That is just monster armor. And it's not, and you won't get those bounces from sitting still. If you sit still, you will be penned. It's from moving around, as you saw in the slow motion brawls, creating those acute angles, moving backwards and forwards, presenting the front of your tank, and creating those really obtuse angles that make it so difficult for your enemies to pen you. And that's what can be done with this tank. And by the way, what you learn with this tank in terms of bouncing shots, moving, brawling, etc., will stand you in excellent stead when you move up to the next tier, the B1, because the B1 is really just a bigger, faster firing version of this tank, has similar very good armor. Let's have a quick recap of the key points on this tank. And as I said, keep them in mind because they're not only good for this tank, but for the next tank as well, the B1. This is a really solid tier 3 tank. It's a well balanced tank, and apart from being slow, it really doesn't have any downsides. It has a decent gun, it's very accurate, very reliable, as you saw in that game. With APCR logs, you will pen anything. Use supercharge and a refined gun, and you will pen most things with the normal AP rounds. 47mm gun, which is pretty good for its tier, has good pen and will not let you down, as you saw in that game. And the muzzle velocity is fantastic. 1150 meters per second in a tier 3 is really exceptional. And it does decent damage, 50 plus per hit. And at a reload of just over 5.5 seconds, it is not bad at all and helps in brawls, as you saw there. It's slow, 23 kilometers an hour, and it has slow traverse, but if you move the tracks in the opposite direction to what you're traversing backwards, you will traverse much quicker. But the armor is the main thing. It is troll, so use it, as you saw there in those brawls, particularly up against the higher tiers, the tier 4s. I just was able to troll those guys by using the characteristics of the tank. So please do practice with it, and also if you haven't already, look at the heavy tank guide I have, because that will also explain side scraping, etc. The B1 is the next in line, but take your time. Moving up to tier 4 is a big jump. Take your time, practice with this tank. As I said, it's so similar to the tank above it, and the gun is exactly the same. The skills you will learn with it are transferable completely, so take your time, and then when you do arrive to the B1, you will be an exceptional B1 player from your first game. So there you are. Cheers, Mush. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Pants off.